If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The federal government suspends mining activities in Zamfara and neighboring states. Twin explosions kill 2 civilian JTF in Borno, several others injured. 152 Boko Haram ex-combatants reintegrated into the society in Gombe. And Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and other world leaders commemorate the massacre of Tutsis and moderate Hutus in Kigali. ChannelsTV.com has more information for you, and on youtube.com/channelsweb you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app have an eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos and news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. Potable water remains a dream in Bauchi State, and that's despite the promise of successive administrations to provide water for the people. UNICEF says over 1 billion naira was expended in 2018 on sanitation, water and hygiene projects in Bauchi State by the Department for International Development of the United Kingdom, DFID. This commitment is spurred by the release of over 500 million naira counterpart by state governments. Our correspondent Hajara Aliyu tells us how efforts are being made to realize water for all goals.
The search for safe drinking water for some communities leaves a lot to be desired. In some instances, the tedious journey to an unhygienic source of water supply is demeaning to humans. These primary school pupils are engaged in a keen debate over individual and collective responsibilities at ensuring access to safe water. They are now advocates of water and sanitation in schools.
I want to see children writing to the chairman of primary health care and Subel saying they don't have water in their school, but they don't have toilets in their school, or writing to the Honorable Commissioner of Water Resources saying they don't have water points or latrines in their community.
Firmed-up partnerships are yielding gradual progress on water, sanitation and hygiene.
Which constantly shows access to water and sanitation rising from 2015 baseline figures of 30% and 35% to 47% and 62% in 2017 respectively.
The collaboration between Bauchi State Government, the DFID and UNICEF has resulted in 145 and 92 people, 188 and 800 pupils, 5,809 caregivers have access to safe water, sanitation and hygiene covering communities, schools and health centers in Bauchi State.
Prior to the 2019 general elections, civil society organizations obtained documented commitments from elected public officers for the provision of water and sanitation. These persons must be held accountable to their promises as soon as they assume office and until the end of their 4-year tenure.
We as well track budgets to see that, okay, there is a remarkable increase, or the government of the day have given attention to water, sanitation and hygiene. So this will ensure that it's done through the Keep Your Promise campaign.
There are still many communities in rural and urban areas in dire need of water supply. The concerted efforts, if sustained and improved on, will pave way for more demands met and in the long run, the attainment of SDG Goal 6. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Now, other than potable water, other social amenities that the electorates expect from the newly elected leaders are good roads, electricity, functioning hospitals, standard education, and a good life generally. And what do you expect from your own elected officials within the shortest possible time? As Nigerians set agenda for new leaders, Channel Television's data information consultant, Babajide Ogusowo, gives us a few tips on how to hold leaders accountable. Babajide, thank you for joining us on the News at 10. It was a pleasure having you here. So what are those immediate things we can expect realistically now, the things we can expect within the shortest possible time?
You know, for me, what perhaps should be the most important thing is we need to stop the mix-up between what is essential and what is priority. And for over 4 decades, our leaders have said agriculture, housing, education, industrialization has been their priority. But the real question is, are those priorities or are they essentials? Now, let me make myself clear. When a commercial bus driver wakes up in the morning and gets into his bus, it differentiates between what is essential and what is priority. So for the commercial bus driver, the Danfo driver, as it will be called in Lagos, for him, what is essential is to ensure that there's fuel in his bus. What is essential is to have a spare tire. What is essential is to also make sure that his conductor has change. The 20 naira, 50 naira that will be given to passengers, those are essential services. What is priority for the bus driver is to ensure that he avoids traffic. Because by avoiding traffic, he can go on multiple trips. And by going on multiple trips, he makes more money. So for the bus conductor, clearly there's a difference between what is essential and what is priority. For our leaders, that distinction also has to be made between what is essential and what is priority. And for several decades, there's been a mix-up. Agriculture, housing, education are essentials. They are not priority. And so the leaders, for the next 3.5 to 4 years, have to define what is priority.
But should they be priority?
Those are essential services. Priority, for instance, is to understand what the problems are. And so several people say we need to diversify, that there's a concentration in the oil sector. But that isn't the problem. Oil and oil concentration is a concern. The real problem is the quality of decision-making by our leaders. And so what for me should be priority should be, we should nurture thinking. We need, for instance, to build a nation of thinkers. That should be priority. And while we focus on that priority, we also keep a focus on our essentials. But we shouldn't make a mistake of classifying essentials to become priority.
Yeah, and some people would disagree, though, because accommodation should become a priority. People are, losing homes, unfortunately, and food is still also a priority too. But I digress. Should economic recovery and growth plans still lead the actions of the federal government going forward?
I'll pick the last 2 letters, growth plan, especially if we look at what should be the agenda for the government for the next 4 years. And if we look at what should be some of the things that should be priority is, let's look at what we expect from great leadership. Yes, we'll expect there will be policy stability. We'll expect that politics this time around will be cooperative. But for the federal government, we expect 2 things. First is more focus on national security and intelligence. And by national security and intelligence, we're talking about reviewing immigration, improving border security, and also ensuring that we get biometrics right. National security and intelligence should be the focus for the federal government. For the state governments, we now need to let them do more when it comes to welfare for the people. So they should be targeting faster double-digit growth rates. So in all, if we look at what should be the agenda for the federal government when it comes to national security and intelligence, and for the state governments and local governments to focus more on the welfare, we will surely get great leadership in the next 3.5 years if we're able to ensure that.
So will growth rate assist in reducing poverty and unemployment, which the federal government should address?
Let's take a look at the growth rate since 1999. Here's what the data tells us. The last time we had a double-digit growth rate was in 2010. And since 2010, growth rate has been in single digits. Consider this. Any nation or a developing nation like Nigeria that wants to create prosperity needs to achieve at the minimum double-digit growth rate. And that's to ensure that we get double-digit growth rates that is also inclusive. And one of the ways we can do that is not just to talk broadly about double-digit growth rates, but to look at the growth rates within each of the 46 economic sectors. And again, just as I started, essentials and priorities. For you, it is essential to end this discussion right now, but your priority is to keep reading the news. The government and leaders now need to also ensure that they differentiate between what is priority and what is essential. Keep reading the news, Amara. Yes,
I will. That is priority. Thank you very much, Babajide. Always a pleasure having you here on the News at 10. Now, stone crushing is an art associated with people of Egon local government area in Nasarawa State. Women are very famous in this art. In our community report today, we take a look at this historic culture of the people. Our correspondent, Halima Gayam, is our guide.
Wives, mothers, women from Nasarawa Egon local government area of Nasarawa State, crushing stones under the scorching sun to cater for their families. This they have been doing for many years, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day of the week. It's a tiring task. They take turns to rest under the shade and to quench their thirst. With 7 to 10 days intense efforts, each of them can crush a heap of gravel, which is sold for 25,000 naira or even more. Young girls are not excluded. Some of them who do not go to school assist their mothers to crush measured portions for 500 naira daily. The aged women are also here. Amina Kasim is over 60 years and has been crushing stones for 9 years.
I chose stone crushing because there is no other job. When we built our house, we did not have money to buy zinc. So we agreed to engage in stone crushing to complete our house.
Aisha Ayuba, who started as a teenager, now has over 30 years' experience in the trade. She has built a house for her family with proceeds from here, though initially she battled with neglect. The women are only concerned about the benefit of the trade, but unknown to them, it has a huge impact on their health and the environment. Dust from stones contains silica, which long-term inhalation causes a number of diseases.
Silicosis has a lot of features, and features, that is, signs and symptoms, which include shortness of breath, cause dyspnea, tachycardia, and tachypnea, and also it can lead to cough, which tends to be severe and persistent. It can also lead to the darkening of the skin and the bluish discoloration of the skin.
The environment has its own share.
Because the soil and the ground is degraded, it can lead to erosion.
Experts from the health and environmental sector call for enlightenment of the women and government regulations.
The government can actually curtail such things by setting up a proper quarry site so that the people will mine such places.
The collapse of quarry leading to death of miners is a usual occurrence. Despite being witness to this, these women have continued to make a living the hard way. This alone should attract the attention of relevant authorities, especially in the provision of alternative income sources. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
When the News at 10 returns, we'll be focusing on the Rwanda genocide and the call for forgiveness by President Paul Kagame. Please join us again.